That's the difference. I wanted to get to Greg Shirk's comment. He says, I don't support the nation of Israel. This is, I assume, after having heard the podcast. He says, it's not a democratic functioning, what is that? I don't know the term. It's operated and ruled with operational safeguards against the original peoples of the land who participate. Oh, okay. When he says the original peoples of the land, who's he talking about? Is it the Palestinians, quote unquote? I'm unimpressed. I am unimpressed with the idea that someone has an inherent right to the land because they were there first. And we get that stuff thrown at us too, in terms of Native Americans. You took our land. We gave you medicine and food and literacy. You're welcome. I mean, we had a manifest destiny. So what? Is he referring to the Arabs that lived in that area belonging to the various nations who would identify as Palestinians, like the Jordanians, for example, that held the territory before it was carved up after the World War? Or is he referring to the Canaanites? Because the Canaanites were in the promised land before the Israelites, and God didn't give 2 cents of care about who was there first. He gave the land to the Israelites. That just a case in point, I guess. 2, Israel's foundations are socialists. Granted. Okay. 3, Israel spies on America. This is why I was kind of kidding when I asked him, when did you become an anti-Semite? In my response, I wasn't entirely serious, but that kind of makes me think like there's a not anti-Semitism, but like a bias maybe that's a tad irrational would be my view, just a little bit. Israel spies on the United States, and we spy on everyone, and everyone spies on us. So one of the things Edward Snowden revealed is that we have already put doomsday devices in the utilities of our allies, like the Five Eyes, New Zealand, Australia, England, is it Canada? So our allies, we've already set the devices to take down their power grid. Why is that? That's proof. That's not conspiracy. That's verified proof. It's all been, declassified by Edward Snowden. It's just because that's geopolitics, baby. That's the way it works. So they spy on us. America spies on us. My government spies on me way more than Israel does. Jewish NGOs, non-governmental organizations, I presume, financially support homosexuality and porn. Our government supports homosexuality and porn. The only thing Western about Israel is this. Now, this is the line that I don't agree with. The only Western thing about Israel is its promiscuous, libertine, and worst aspects of the Western world. That's not. That's where I have to take exception the most. That's not true. That's not the only Western thing about Israel. Israel has an understanding of the concepts of individual liberty and human rights, individual rights, personal liberties. That's fundamentally what makes Western culture, is the concept of the individual over the community, as individualism over communitarianism. And again, who's not socialist these days? But they have a Bill of Rights that they believe to be, I doubt they use the word inalienable or inviolable, but there it is. That exists, which is the reason why Israel has not annihilated the Arabs that live within its borders, because they believe in the concept of rights. Palestinians, he says, are people too and deserve respect. Let me stop there for a moment. I disagree with this fundamentally. Palestinians are not people. They're absolutely not people, because Palestinians do not exist. The nation of Palestine does not exist. It's not a nation. That's why you hear, say, Joe Biden talk about a 2-nation solution, a 2-state solution. It's not a nation, right? So if you came to Montana and you referred to us as Canadians, I'd go, we're not in Canada. Well, did you know that before the Louisiana Purchase, this would have been considered Canada? I don't give a crap. This ain't Canada. Don't call me that. I'm a Montanan. So you're referring not to Palestinians. That's propaganda. You're referring to Arabs who live within the nation of Israel. They are Israelis. Okay. Unless they're foreigners or sojourners. They may not have the right to vote if that's the case, but they're not Palestinians because Palestine doesn't exist. The people identifying as Palestinians are people, and they are human beings. And he is right that they are due respect. If that means like an Imago Day type situation, like after you kill a terrorist, you take his body down before sundown, if you string him up, that type of thing. And then we have to recognize there are a lot of innocent people there who die because they live amidst terrorists, and that's what happens.